I'm Michael Levine, and welcome to another edition of Without Notes. The show title, I think, is pretty explanatory. It's a conversation with fascinating people, at least I hope fascinating, without any agenda except that the conversation be real and human, authentic and transparent. Today our guests are most unusual, an odd couple, the Rabbi and the Rascal. The Rabbi and the Rascal. The Rascal is a former gang member and drug addict, recovering. The Rabbi is a man who played a pivotal role in that journey. We're going to have a fascinating conversation, an unedited, unscripted conversation with the Rabbi and the Rascal. And welcome to our show, our guests, the Rabbi and the Rascal. Now, I imagine the audience isn't going to have to guess who's who, but in case they do, you are the Rascal and you are the Rabbi. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, guys. So, I want to start, if we might, with just the briefest biographical information. Rascal, let's start with you. Where were you born?
I was born in Whittier, raised there.
Whittier, California.
The east side of Los Angeles.
East side. And tell me a little bit about your early family life, or what you can remember of it. What was it like? How did that experience for you? Now, I understand that all children think their lives are normal, but now you have a little advantage. What was it like growing up in Whittier, California?
Growing up was pretty decent.
Decent?
It was pretty decent.
Would you describe the home as stable? Was it
It was stable, very stable.
Mother and father at home?
Yes.
Okay.
Everything was good.
Good.
Everything's good with my brothers.
Yeah. How many brothers and sisters did you have?
I got two brothers, one older, one younger, so in the middle.
So you're the middle. Okay. All right, so you grew up in this home. What did your father do for a living?
He worked at Union Pacific Railroad.
Okay, Union Pacific Railroad. And mom?
She was a stay-at-home.
Stay-at-home.
Yeah.
Okay. And so it was a pleasant and modestly stable home. You went to elementary school in Whittier?
Yes.
How'd you do in school?
Decent.
You were a relatively good student. Okay. Any aspirations when you were young as to what you might want to do with your life? Did you think that?
Yeah, when I was about 5 years old, I had seen my uncle coming down the street on one of his friends' Impalas, drinking beer. Mm-hmm. And as I got a little bit older, I thought that's what I wanted to do. Was
walk down a street and drink some beer. Really? Huh.
Just that lowrider lifestyle, and the gangs come with that.
Now, Rascal, the lowrider lifestyle is something not familiar to many of the people watching the show throughout the world. So take a minute and try to describe for people who are not familiar with the lowrider lifestyle, myself included. What is a when you say lowrider lifestyle, what do you mean?
Lowriding, it can be a family-oriented deal, friends, neighborhood, from the barrio. And a lot of people tend to look at that as negative. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of positivity in it.
Is the lowrider lifestyle include what many would describe as outlaw behavior, gang behavior, drug behavior?
All that stuff.
All of it?
Yes.
So to be a lowrider is to be involved in behavior that would be described as gang behavior, criminal behavior, drug behavior, yes?
Some, not all.
Some, not all.
Some, not all.
Mm-hmm. And what, to the extent, now to many watching this show, again, watching all over the world, they might ask the question, why would a young man, young kid, want to involve himself in that type of behavior? What is the attraction or the appeal? Drugs, crime, arrest, prison. What is the, could you?
Just seeing my uncle on the hood of that car drinking his beer was just like he can do whatever he wanted in life.
There was a freedom, not a selling out to the man. The man would be the establishment. Is there an independence of not selling out to the man?
Of course.
Okay. You go to high school. Where do you go to high school?
In Whittier.
In Whittier.
Yes.
Good student?
No.
Not a good student. Now, by the way, when you start this kind of pseudo-romance with the lowrider lifestyle, right? You become interested in it. How do your parents react to that? I would think that many parents would not be supportive of that. How did your parents react?
They were pretty shocked. They were pretty shocked when.
They were shocked or surprised? Were they appalled?
It was more the gang and not so much the low riding. It was more the gang. And then came the drive-bys at the house, the Molotov cocktail bombs getting thrown through the window.
Now hold on, son. We went pretty quick, right? So at what age did you start getting involved in gangs?
About 15.
15 years old. Do you get initiated into a gang?
Yes.
What gang?
It's a Southern California gang.
Southern California gang. Now, the first thing you do, I'm asking this, is you get initiated into a gang, yes?
Yes.
How do you get initiated?
You get beat up, and you got to show your strength, that you're able to.
So other gang members beat you up, and you've got to show somehow that you can tolerate it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so do you remember that initiation?
Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm. They beat you up pretty good?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And do your parents quickly become aware of the fact that you're becoming involved in a gang life?
Yeah, the way I dressed was a totally different.
So you go from dressing in somewhat of a, quote, normal 15-year-old way to what? What is the dress of a, I mean, we have all our stereotypes, but what is the dress? How did your dress change?
The oversized Dickie khakis, the white t-shirts,
Mm-hmm.
the Nike Cortez,
When you got initiated into the gang, did you feel honored and excited and like you had just been, like you almost had won the lottery?
I felt the love.
You felt the love. Here's what I think many people would like to know who don't know anything about this lifestyle. When this happens, why does your father and mother not come to you and say, son, I'm going to tell you this and I'm going to tell it to you once. You listen real good. You're not to do this. Why? That would be the thought process to many who know nothing about this lifestyle. Why didn't your parents do that, do you feel?
Well, they did. They did, and I just...
You disobeyed. Did they go to a stronger posture of, if you do that, you're out of the house?
No, they didn't kick me out.
How quickly, age 15, gang initiation, clothes, dress change, when did the drugs and alcohol begin?
It was already there, but I think it started more.
You were already using drugs and alcohol at under age 15?
Yeah, about that age, yes.
Uh-huh. Your parents know that?
Not too much, no.
So you hid that. Do you believe now, with the advantage of hindsight, that you had what would be referred to clinically by the rabbi and others as an addictive personality?
Yes,
So
definitely.
You had an addictive personality. All right, we're going to get back to you in a minute, but I have to turn to my other friend who may have had a less traumatic childhood, but where were you born?
I was born in Whittier.
Born in Whittier, okay. Where were you born in?
I was born in the poor parts of Beverly Hills.
Yeah, in the rough, mean streets
Of
of
Beverly
Hills, California. And your childhood?
Childhood was regular. You know, I was,
Mother and father stay at home?
mother and father are at home together.
Brothers and sisters?
I am one of 5.
One of 5. Which number are you?
I'm the youngest.
Youngest of 5.
I'm the oops.
Yes, you are. And so you live in a very affluent home in Beverly Hills, California. What did your father do for a living?
My father was a rabbi.
Father was a rabbi. And so high school in Beverly Hills?
Actually, high school in the Valley.
Valley, okay. Raised in a religious home.
Raised in an Orthodox home.
Orthodox. So you were observant and bar mitzvah.
Yes.
And where do you go to college?
I started at Yeshiva University in New York.
Okay. And your hope in high school and college is to do what? What was your desire, vocational desire?
It was actually to make a lot of money. That was the goal. Since in my home, I saw 2 types of people being respected. Those that made a lot of money and they were able to be charitable, or those that were rabbis, and I was sure I didn't want to be a rabbi.
Right. That's called in sophisticated psychological circles process of elimination.
Exactly.
Right. I don't know about A, but I sure
know
don't
about
want
B.
B.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, got it. All right. So you want to make a lot of money. Now, what is your strategy to make a lot of money?
So my initial strategy was to go into the real estate business.
So you're going to be a realtor of some type. And did you do that?
I ended up doing that, yes.
Successfully?
For a while, yeah, very successfully.
So you started on your journey successfully.
Yes.
And then what happened in the story?
So then between 05 and 08, I lost everything.
How did that happen?
A series of...
Now, by the way, 08, again, we're going to do this for our audience. 08 becomes the enormous financial catastrophe,
Right.
right? But you posit 05 to 08, you lose everything. What would be the title of the irresponsibility?
Substance abuse.
Substance abuse. How do you get involved in substance abuse?
So it actually started in high school.
Okay.
So I actually started at a very similar age as Rascal. I started at 14 years old.
15, 14.
And high school was, you know, just what I would call experimentation. It was not addiction. Yet it was addictive behavior. And it was always about finding the short-term solution to the longer-term problem.
So what becomes your first drug?
Marijuana.
Okay. So you start in what many would regard, particularly in today's world, as a benign use of recreational marijuana. And then what happens and when? Because it's going to lead us to 2005 to 8, where the real irresponsibility starts taking you down.
Yeah. So I would switch off, and it was food, it was alcohol, it was marijuana. Then it actually became studying. I actually became a rabbi at 19, something I never thought I would use in my lifetime, since I believed I was going to be a rich realtor. And they were, actually when I got ordained, the rabbi asked me why I was doing it, and I said to him, I've caused my mom enough pain, so I'll give her some
I owe
pleasure.
her one.
So he said, you should have told me in advance. I'd give it to you without all the tests.
And were you a good student?
I'm not sure you'd call me a good student. I did well. A lot of things came to me quickly. Yet if I wasn't passionate about it, I was not interested in it.
So now When does the drug use accelerate to a more dangerous level, leading to 2005, 2008?
So it was a really short period of time. It actually started probably in the end of '04, where it got heavier. And
why does it get heavier?
I was going through emotional and internal turmoil for a really long time, and I thought that the money would fix me, and it didn't. So when I started trying out the harder stuff, it fixed me.
Temporarily.
In that moment, I thought I was Superman. Right. So in that moment,
This is a common drug addict narrative.
Yes. So they say,
I felt normal for the first time. I felt complete for the first time. I felt alive for the first time. I felt able for the first time. This is a common drug addict narrative.
it's common because that's the truth, right? That's where.
Well,
that's
it's common because it's not. It's common because there's enough familiarity that it repeats.
Yeah, and it repeats. And obviously there were many warnings from others. And
did your parents have any sense that there was a problem?
They actually didn't at all. They were living in Israel at the time. They knew I probably drank too much, yet they would never have thought it was an addiction. That they would have thought that, I don't know, he drinks too much, maybe he'll stop. In our household, it wasn't really discussed.
So, how does this lead what happens at 2005 to 2008 that you lose your emerging fortune?
I was not paying attention. I was focused on using.
Drugs and...
Yeah, I was focused on using. So...
And by the way, spending increases.
Spending increases. Focus decreases. I was checked out in multiple ways. Mm-hmm. So I started making mistakes. And then exacerbated by the market. Yeah. And it culminated in what I'd call an explosion.
In 2008.
2008. It was a final deal that I'd done a condo development in Fresno, of all places, and I was not, my partner was supposed to do things that he ended up not doing. Had I been paying attention, I would have known that.
What becomes the hardest drug that you progress to?
I'd say cocaine and pills.
So now, how in the Lord's name do you two meet? How do you meet? And then let's talk about that, and then let's talk about what becomes of that. How do you meet Rascal? How do you meet this character?
I was asked to...
Was he low riding?
He was three-wheeling at the corner in Beverly Hills. Three-wheeling in Beverly Hills.
Yes. By the way, I think I recall that.
Yeah. A friend asked me to go out to dinner with them, and I was introduced to Asher.
What basis were you supposed to have dinner to? You want to talk about the Dodgers? What?
I really didn't know.
Didn't know?
I didn't know.
Who was the friend who introduced you?
My friend Jesse.
Jesse. And he didn't really tell you why you were meeting. He just said, I want you to meet a friend of mine.
Yes.
Okay. From your perspective, you went to the same dinner.
Yes.
In Beverly Hills. Why were you meeting?
So I had asked, it's a great question. No, actually it wasn't Jesse, it was actually Sang. Sang was my barber, and he was a recovering gang member.
The barber.
The barber. And I said to him, I'd like to meet somebody who's active in the lifestyle. My motivation was that I believe that if we take off our masks, which we identify ourselves in the world, that we are all the same, and we're really seeking the same. So I wanted to prove it.
So you started not with so much with the curiosity of meeting this person with a very unusual life, different, But you had a hypothesis.
Yes.
About humans and masks, and you were trying to meet to see if the hypothesis could be maybe advanced or proven.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Are you actively, day to day, week to week, month to month, committing crime?
Yes.
What type of crime?
Drug dealings.
Dealing drugs.
Fighting,
what kind of drugs?
Heroin, crystal meth.
You're selling heroin and crystal meth on the street. So at this meeting, in which you're trying to prove this very provocative hypothesis, what happens?
I'm immediately attracted to this wonderful gentleman named Rascal. I see his face tattoo, and I said, this guy looks the most different than I am. And I believe he is most involved in the gang life activity.
And then what happens? Go ahead.
Asher asked me to sit next to him, and I couldn't figure out why. I was like, why me? But as the night progressed, I figured it out. Well, he told us, and told me what his mission was, and I was all for it.
What spun off from that curious meeting?
So it spun off from the curious meeting with myself and Rascal. It was a kinship, a relationship, and a brotherhood. Let's start with that.
Brotherhood is a strong word.
It is a strong word, and that's what has come out of it. It didn't come out immediately.
Of course. Yeah. Brotherhood seldom does.
Absolutely.
Do you talk frequently?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd say we speak between 3 and 7 times a week.
That's a great deal.
So that's a great deal.
Yep.
And I said to Rascal, as long as you're willing to improve your life, I'm willing to help you and assist in that.
I imagine that in the early part of that relationship, you asked for some kind of down payment, some proof that, in fact, he is all in. What is the down payment that you require, behavior-wise?
So the first down payment we spoke about was Rascal had not taken his DUI courses, driving under the influence courses, for multiple years. He just could never show up. So I actually call the DUI school, and they say to me, that'll be, if I'm not mistaken, I don't remember exactly, but I think they said $500. So I said, okay, for how many weeks? And they said he has to show up once a week. I think, was it 5 weeks or 6 weeks or something like that? So I don't remember exactly. And I said to him, okay, I'll make you a deal. I'll pay $100 a week if he shows up. And if he doesn't show up, I'm not paying. And the gentleman on the phone says to me, that's not how it works. You pay up front. I said, well, you want to be my partner? You don't want to be my partner. You have a choice. I'm not paying $500. He's got to prove to me he's going to show up. I don't know this guy from a beanpole. This is his down payment to me, as you call it. I didn't call it a down payment.
Yeah, I understand.
And so the guy agreed, reluctantly.
But you're going to pay the money, not him.
He didn't have the money. So I said to him, if it is something educational, improvement of his life, showing up for his life, I'll pay or raise the money. I'm not giving you a handout. I'm giving you a hand up.
So important. This is so important.
So, and it's exactly, I don't believe in handouts. I believe in hand-ups.
For good reason. Yeah. Hand-ups.
Hand-ups.
Yeah.
And he showed up.
True or false, Rabbi?
Yes.
It is impossible to ever help a human being, no matter how gifted you are, 1 ounce more than they're willing to help themselves.
True.
So, you show up.
I do.
Why?
I want my life back together.
Give me some examples of the unmanageability of your life at that point.
My addiction to alcohol, my loyalty to the gang. Everything was just crazy. In and out of prison every year.
Rabbi, is one of the things you ask him to do to drop out of the gang?
No.
You don't ask him to do that. Did you ultimately drop out of a gang?
Yeah, I showed the rabbi the proof. I tattooed on some boxing gloves hanging. I hung them up.
Mm-hmm. How did the other gang members respond? Do they shun you? Do they move away from you, or do they stay your friends?
Yeah, they're still my friends. We stay in contact.
Are they in the gang?
Yeah.
And do you try to talk them out of their life?
No, they do what they do. I don't try to force them to do anything they don't want to.
So, Rabbi, you have been working with Rascal for how long now?
Almost 4 years.
4 years. Do you drink alcohol anymore?
No.
When you stopped, how long ago did you stop drinking alcohol?
About 1.5 years.
Was it hard to do?
Well, I went to prison and there's no alcohol in there. So
Yeah, they're not serving a lot.
So I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Do you have any urge to drink?
When I first got out of prison, I did, but I stood strong and doing good.
I'm going to ask you, please, to tell me, Rascal, please, a regret of your life. You've been on a very unusual journey in your life. You know things now that you didn't know at the time. Name for me one major regret that you wish you had not done, knowing what you know now?
Running with the gang.
Running with the gang. Getting involved with the wrong people.
Right.
Rabbi, same question to you. A regret that you now have that you didn't know at the time, what would that be?
I'd say the only regret I have is not always being present for my children. I'd say other than that, I believe that our stories, our journeys, if we learn from them and we utilize them to help others, they're not regretful. However, if we use them to feel sorry for ourselves, to not make the changes necessary in our own lives, to wallow in our stuff.
In modern day parlance, become a victim.
Yeah. If we choose to be a victim, then it's all regretful, right?
Yeah, becoming a victim is a bad journey. Are you working today, Rascal? Do you work?
Yes.
What do you do?
Driver.
You're a driver. This, quote, normal life that you're involved in now, is it a better life than the one you knew, or?
Definitely. Definitely is.
Well, gentlemen, to say this was an unusual journey, conversational journey, is maybe somewhat understated, but I'm really honored that you were here. Without Notes, and the audience that watches it throughout the world has benefited greatly by your transparency, your authenticity, and your vulnerability. Thank you both, gentlemen. Thank you, and good luck on your journey.
Thank
you for having us.
Well, that was a very, very fascinating edition of Without Notes. I hope you enjoyed it and found it as intriguing as I did. If you did, would you be willing, for your homework, to like us on Facebook and subscribe to us on YouTube? I think you'll find the ongoing series of Without Notes broadcasts not only interesting and educational and provocative, but also lastingly meaningful. At least I hope so.